My father thought my military career was his personal piggy bank. He was wrong. By the time the colonel walked into the diner, my father's life, as he knew it, was already over. Not because I yelled. Not because I cried. Because I documented. Because I moved first. Because I learned something my family never did. You can't guilt-trip paperwork. The band hit the chorus and the community center's floorboards vibrated under my boots. Brass. Laughter. The clink of plastic cups. Somebody's perfume thick like gardenias and cheap vanilla. The Harris family reunion banner sagged on one end where the tape had given up. My father stood near the microphone, red-faced from attention, holding court like he'd paid for the whole building. He raised his cup, tapped it with a fork, and the room quieted in that messy way families do, half listening, half chewing. Before we eat, he said, I just want to say, some of us actually became somebody. He smiled straight at my sister. Then he angled his chin toward me like I was furniture he needed moved. And some of us, he said, voice warm, practiced, are still nobody. But that's okay. We love you anyway. A few laughs. Not mean laughs. Worse. Polite laughs. Social lubricant. Cruelty with a napkin over it. I didn't blink. I didn't correct him. I didn't give him a reaction he could brand as dramatic. My phone buzzed against my palm hard enough that I felt it in my wrist. Unknown number. Area code I recognized from the coast. I stepped away from the buffet line, past folding chairs and paper plates, past kids chasing each other with glow sticks. My fingers moved on muscle memory. Answer. Mute the emotion. Listen. Staff Sergeant Harris, a calm male voice asked over a background of intercom chimes and distant alarms. This is Naval Hospital admissions. We're trying to confirm next of kin and your emergency contact. We have an issue. Your father is listed, but the authorization on file is contested. Contested. That word doesn't happen by accident. I looked back through the doorway window into the hall. My father had already turned his back on me, laughing with a cousin. My sister posed with an aunt for a photo, her hand on her pregnant belly like a signature. My screen lit again, Facebook notification. A cousin had tagged me in a reunion post. The caption sat under a group photo of everyone smiling, my uniform jacket folded over my arm, my posture too straight, my face too neutral. Even the nobody showed up LOL. I didn't swipe it away. I opened my bank app instead. My family emergency checking account still showed an authorized user. My father. One toggle. Freeze. Then I opened my military portal, the one people forget exists until it ruins their day, and started updating what I should have updated years ago. Emergency contact. Removed. Permissions. Revoked. And then, because my father is the type of man who never stops at one door if he can try another, I searched my old files. I found it. A power of attorney I'd signed years ago before my first deployment. Limited. Supposed to be temporary. My mistake wasn't trusting them. My mistake was forgetting that paperwork outlives promises. I began the revocation process immediately. Digital confirmation. Timestamped. Logged. That was the moment everything changed. Not when I got angry. When I took access away. The hallway outside the reunion room was colder than it had any right to be. AC rattling loose in the vents. Fluorescent lights buzzing with that faint electric insect sound that makes your teeth feel tight. I leaned my shoulder against cinder block and breathed through my nose. Slow. Controlled. Pain in my lower back, old injury, persistent reminder. Uniform skirt stiff at the hem. Reunion wristband adhesive still sticky on my skin like a cheap claim. I'd come straight from duty travel with my garment bag, still in the trunk. Because I was the reliable one. The one who showed up. The one who brought extra ice, fixed the speaker system, printed the name tags, paid for the extra tray of chicken when the head count grew. My phone buzzed again. Hospital admissions. I'm here, I said. Thank you, the man replied. Paper shuffling. Keyboard. We have your father calling insisting on information. He's asking about benefits and pause. Professional pause. He's asking about whether you've updated your life insurance beneficiary recently. I noted the behavioral pattern. Not concern. Not welfare. Benefits. My jaw tightened once. Mechanical. Controlled. I need the patient advocate, I said. And I need my emergency contact corrected immediately. I'm competent. I'm available. There's no reason to speak to him. Yes, ma'am, he said. We can note it. But we need your signature on a HIPAA release reversal. We can email it through a secure link. Send it, I said. Inside the reunion room, the bass thumped through the wall. Every thump felt like a heartbeat that didn't belong to me. Observe. Document. Decide. My father calling a hospital about my insurance wasn't a misunderstanding. It was a probe. And probes are followed by escalation. Inside, my aunt waved me over like nothing had happened. Like my father hadn't just called me nobody into a microphone. I walked back in, smoothed my face into neutral, and picked up a paper plate I didn't plan to use. Buffet smelled like smoked meat and sweet baked beans. Steam from aluminum trays fogged my glasses for a second. A bowl of spearmint mince sat by the napkins. Too strong. My sister, Marlene, approached me with a bright smile, cheeks flushed, eyes glossy, attention making her shine. There you are, she said, like I'd been hiding. Dad was joking. Don't be weird about it. She reached for my wrist like she could tug me back into the family script. I let her touch my sleeve. Then I stepped back half a pace so she had to drop it. I'm not being weird, I said. You always do this, she said, still smiling. You go quiet and make it about you. I looked at her manicure, pale pink, tiny gold flecks. Fresh money. I'm getting air, I said. Don't, she hissed, smile cracking. Mom already thinks you're, different. I offered. Difficult, she said. I nodded once. Weather report received. And I walked out again. Plate untouched. In the parking lot, the air smelled like hot asphalt and cut grass. Night humidity pressed against my skin. Crickets screamed in the bushes like they had something to prove. I opened my notes app. New entry. Date. Time. Location. Dad's words. Verbatim. Hospital call summary. Facebook screenshot saved. I didn't do it because I planned revenge. I did it because my family's version of events shifts unless I anchor it to something solid. Receipts are solid. The hospital email came through while I sat in my car with the dome light on, steering wheel still warm under my hands. Secure link. HIPAA reversal. I signed with my finger. Digital ink slightly wobbly. Micro imperfection. My knee bounced once. I stopped it. Then I opened my bank app again. 2 transfers initiated in the last week. Small enough to slide past fraud alerts. Quiet. $1,200. $950. $600. All labeled family. I stared until the numbers stopped being numbers and became a map. I knew that account. Every deposit. I'd build it like you build a go bag. Slowly. Deliberately. For disasters. And someone had been dipping into it like it was a candy dish. The music from inside drifted out when the doors opened, laughter, squeals, someone shouting, "Take a picture." My father had called me nobody. But he'd kept my name on his access list. Because nobody was still useful. At home, I went to the desktop version of the bank. More detail. Authorized users. There it was. Dad. Added 3 years ago, the year he called crying about temporary hardship. The year Marlene's wedding happened. The year my mother swore the florist unexpectedly raised prices. I didn't accuse. I verified. Receipt 1. Transfer $1,200. Memo, Marlene baby prep. Initiated from Dad's login. Receipt 2. Zelle $950 to C. Lopez. Subject line, loan payment, thank you. Receipt 3. ATM withdrawal $600 at Quick Cash Mart, Highway 17. Receipt 4. Email from Mom. Need you to sign something ASAP. Attachment. Refinance_addendum.pdf. Receipt 5. Text from Dad. Don't worry about that bank stuff. Adult talk. Just let it ride. Receipt 6. Voicemail transcript. We're doing what's best for the family. You're strong. You always land on your feet. System. Not mistake. I opened the refinance addendum. My name was on it. Not as a witness. Not as a courtesy. As a cosigner. Intent. Preload the obligation. Apply pressure later. I didn't call them. I didn't ask why. I scheduled base legal. I messaged admin for JAG guidance. And I opened my old POA file again. Because the pattern was expanding. If they had legal access once, they'd use it everywhere they could. And then I found the second layer. Credit monitoring alert. A red flag notification on my phone. New account inquiry. Card issuer. My name. my address. And a mailing address that wasn't mine. It was my parents'. My stomach didn't drop like panic. It tightened like focus. Long con confirmed. Point of no return happened the next morning in the finance office. Waiting rooms smelled like stale coffee and printer toner. Chairs bolted to the floor. Muted news captions. A toddler kicking chair legs in a steady rhythm like a countdown. I took a number. I waited. When my turn came, I slid my ID under the glass and spoke calmly. I need to revoke third-party access to my external account, I said. And stop the monthly transfer into that account effective immediately. Reason? The clerk asked. Change in personal circumstances, I said. Not a lie. Just not the whole report. She printed. I signed. Black ink. No flourish. Then I transferred the remaining funds out of the emergency account into a new savings account my father didn't know existed. I didn't drain it with anger. I moved it with precision. I changed passwords. Removed authorizations. Activated alerts. Locked the doors. Count the keys. Dad called while I was at PT. Hey, he said, casual. There's an issue with the account. What issue? I asked. It's not letting me transfer like usual, he said. Probably a glitch. Call them. I handled it, I said. Silence. Then, handled what? I revoked access, I said. It's not shared. His inhale cut sharp through the speaker. Why would you do that? I don't share accounts anymore. He laughed once. Short. Disbelieving. Okay, he said. We'll talk when you're not in one of your moods. Not concern. Correction attempt. Text from mom. Emma, your father said you locked him out. That money was for Marlene. She's pregnant. Don't do this right now. Me, don't use Marlene as a shield. My finances aren't family property. Emma, you're single. You don't understand responsibilities. Me, stop. Emma, adult talk. Your father is stressed. Don't embarrass him. Embarrass. Not wrong. Not illegal. Embarrass. I went to their house. Lemon furniture polish. Faint mildew from a window that didn't seal right. Dad in his recliner like a throne. Mom folding laundry like the towels were guilty. Marlene at the counter watching her life through a phone screen. Dad didn't stand. You're making this difficult, he said. I'm making it clear. He shook his head, disappointed, like I'd failed a test. You know what you are, he said. You're the strong one. You always have been. Mom snapped a towel. You can handle it, she said. Marlene can't. She's sensitive. What is this refinance addendum? I asked. Why is my name on it? Dad waved a hand. Paperwork. Adult talk. Then you won't mind me taking it to legal, I said. Mom's eyes sharpened. Why are you trying to make us look like criminals? Not denial. Offense. Dad leaned forward. You think you're somebody because you wear that uniform, he said. Then, with pleasure, you're not. He stared like he was back on the microphone. You're still my kid. You don't pull rank at home. I didn't flinch. Did you take money from my account? We borrowed, he said. You weren't using it. Borrowed. Without consent. Rung 3 ended with a hook I didn't expect. Marlene's phone buzzed. She smiled. Good news, she said. The HOA will give us an extension if the payment posts by Friday. Friday. Deadline. They weren't refinancing for fun. They were outrunning collapse. Pastor Dan called. Sweetheart, he said, practice softness. Your mother told me there's tension. Your father is heartbroken. Tension, I repeated. Families have seasons, he said. You have a duty to honor. I have a duty to be honest, I cut in. Do you know they used my account without consent and tried to put my name on a loan? Pause. That's not what they said, he replied. Of course it isn't. Your father is proud, he said. He doesn't want the family talking. I don't want the family stealing. He tried again, softer. Sometimes the stronger one sacrifices. I've sacrificed, I said. Now I'm documenting. I hung up. Minutes later, Marlene posted an ultrasound story. Caption, praying for generosity and family support in hard times. No name. But it was aimed. Commissary. Cart squeaking. Rotisserie chicken smell mixing with floor cleaner. Text from Alvarez, you okay? Your sister posted something weird. I opened Facebook. Marlene's status. Some people wear a uniform and think it makes them too good for the family who raised them. Imagine being pregnant and your own sister refuses to help. It's giving cold-hearted. She tagged me. Full name. So unit friends could see. Neighbors could see. Maybe even command, if the wrong person was connected. Public pressure. Control attempt. My card bumped the shelf. A box of oatmeal slid down and thudded softly to the floor. I picked it up. Placed it back. Hand steady. Then I took screenshots. Every comment. Every sad face emoji. Every family comes first. Because this was no longer private. This was now a record. The official letter arrived the next morning. Thick envelope. Cream paper. Certified mail sticker. My name. My address. I didn't open it right away. I washed my hands first. Not superstition. Control. Then I slid it open with a butter knife. Notice of intent to foreclose. Property, my parents' home. Past due amount, $18,742.13. Then the line that locked everything into place. Co-borrower signature required for modification approval. Co-borrower. My name. Not asked. Not discussed. Inserted. I checked the documents. My name appeared in typed text. And the signature line. The signature line looked like mine. Not exact, but close enough to fool someone who wanted to be fooled. I didn't hyperventilate. I didn't spiral. I initiated process. Loan servicer call. Fraud case opened. Bank fraud report filed. Credit bureaus notified. And I finalized the POA revocation. Then I did the last thing that changed the tone from family conflict to criminal exposure. I filed a police report. Not because I wanted drama. Because paper is the only language people like my father respect. That afternoon, I posted one statement. No rant. No insults. Just facts and boundaries. And blurred receipts. Because truth with proof ends arguments. Silence followed. Then scrambling. Then private messages. Then my mother's favorite tactic. Now everyone is talking. Congratulations. You got what you wanted. They still thought it was about winning. They couldn't comprehend that I posted because they'd weaponized silence against me. I didn't live like that anymore. 2 days later, we met at a diner off the highway. Bright windows. Scratched booths. The smell of frying oil baked into everything. Neutral ground. Witnesses. I arrived early, back to the wall, ordered black coffee I didn't want. Burnt taste. Chipped mug. My knee bounced under the table. I stopped it. Flat foot. Control restored. They walked in together. Dad first. Shoulders stiff. Mom behind him. Purse clutched tight. Marlene waddling slightly. Hand on her belly like armor. Dad slid into the booth across from me. Vinyl squeaked. He didn't say hello. He said, "You humiliated me." I documented facts, I said. Mom leaned in, urgent. "We needed time," she said. "You needed me quiet," I replied. Dad's jaw flexed. "We didn't forge anything," he said too fast. "It was paperwork. The bank." "Stop," I said. Not loud. Final. Waitress came by with water. Ice clinked in the glass like punctuation. Marlene's voice shook with indignation. "I'm pregnant," she said. "Do you know what stress does to a baby?" I observed her hands twisting the straw wrapper until it shredded. Then I asked the question I'd rehearsed during runs. "What did you do first when the hospital called about my emergency contact?" I asked my father. Dad blinked. Mom's mouth opened, then closed. "They called me because I'm your father," he said. "That's what they do." "No," I said. "Answer the question." He hesitated. Fraction too long. I asked what was going on, he said. "And after that?" I asked. He shifted. Vinyl squeal. Mom jumped in. He was worried. We were worried. "Show me one message," I said, "where you asked if I was okay." Silence. Not dramatic. Operational. Ceiling fan ticking. Fry cook calling an order. Baby fussing at another booth. Dad narrowed his eyes. "You're doing that military interrogation thing," he snapped. "You always have to be in control." "Yes," I said. "Because you weren't." Mom tried guilt. "We fed you. We clothed you. And I've repaid you," I said. Over and over. Dad leaned forward, hands flat on the table. "You're turning on your own blood," he said. "Over money." "It's not over money," I said. "It's over theft." Marlene stiffened. "What do you mean theft?" Dad shot her a warning look. Marlene's eyes widened. "You didn't tell me you were in foreclosure," she whispered. "We didn't want to stress you," Mom said quickly, syrupy. "You're pregnant, honey." Marlene's entitlement cracked into fear. Dad turned back to me, voice low, threatening. "You're not going to ruin this family." I set my coffee down carefully. No shaking hands. No trembling voice. Then I laid out the report. Not feelings. Facts. My power of attorney was still active, I said. Because I forgot to revoke it. That part is on me. Dad's eyes flickered. He knew what that meant. And while it was active, I continued, someone used it to access accounts and open credit in my name. Mom's face changed. Micro-expression. Exit scan. I noted it. Dad tried to talk over me. We were going to fix it. Stop, I said again. Then I slid the manila envelope across the table. Thick. Brown. Heavy enough to make a statement without words. Inside wasn't just foreclosure paperwork. Inside was the police report. The fraud case numbers. The credit inquiry list. The bank access logs. The POA revocation confirmation. A printed copy of the signature mismatch flag. Dad stared at it like it was alive. I didn't explain it theatrically. I inventoried it. Then I said the line. I'm not here to negotiate, Dad, I said. I'm here to give you a head start before the MP or the sheriff shows up at your door for identity theft. My mother inhaled sharply. Marlene's mouth fell open. Dad's face hardened. You're cold, he said. No, I replied. I'm finished. He tried to recover his performance voice, the one he used at microphones. You think you're somebody, he hissed. I held his gaze. I don't think, I said. I verify. The diner door chimed. And the room changed. Footsteps measured. A man walked in wearing a crisp active-duty uniform. Colonel. Silver Eagle. Clean lines. Authority you can't buy with stories. He didn't look around like he was lost. He walked straight to our booth. He stopped beside me. Staff Sergeant Harris, he said. His voice carried without yelling. Good to see you. He nodded once. Respect. Real. Earned. Then he added, like he was closing a file. We've finalized the JAG review. My father's face lit for half a second. He tried to stand taller inside the booth. Like the colonel was here for him. Like this was proof of his connections. Colonel, Dad said, too eager. Too loud. Good to see you. Long time. The colonel didn't offer his hand. He looked at my father the way you look at a man wearing medals he didn't earn. Then he spoke in a tone that didn't allow debate. Mr. Harris, he said. You need to stop telling people you retired as a hero. Dad blinked. I what? You were not retired, the colonel continued. You were discharged. Pause. Controlled pause. Maximum damage. For cause. My mother's eyes snapped to the door. Exit confirmed. I noted it. My father's mouth worked without sound. The colonel's gaze didn't soften. You also attempted to use your daughter's status for personal gain, he said. Calls were made. Requests were logged. Benefits were discussed for a living service member. Marlene made a small sound in her throat. Shock. Recognition. Dad's voice finally arrived, thin and angry. You don't know what you're talking about. The colonel's expression didn't change. I know exactly what I'm talking about, he said. Then he turned slightly, addressing the table, not just my father. Staff Sergeant Harris cooperated fully, he said. Proper channels were notified. He looked back at my father. And you should prepare yourself for the channels that come next. Not a threat. A forecast. I stood. Smooth movement. No rush. I placed cash on the table for my coffee. Then I slid the receipt toward my father. And I left the diner bill on his side. Small symbol. Accurate. He always wanted to look like the provider. Now he could pay. Or admit he couldn't. I looked at him one last time. You called me a nobody, I said. My voice stayed level. But in this room, you're the only one whose name doesn't mean anything anymore. Then I walked out. Door chimed behind me. Bright afternoon sun made the world look too sharp. I didn't block them immediately. I didn't celebrate. I didn't need to. Because consequences don't require my participation once they've been filed. The system moved the way systems move. Slow. Relentless. The bank requested statements and affidavits. I sent everything. The credit bureaus locked my file. The loan servicer maintained the fraud flag. The POA revocation processed. The report sat in a queue with my father's name on it like a weight. My chain of command didn't punish me. They supported me quietly. My senior chief asked 2 questions. Are you safe? Yes. Do they have access to the base? No. Good, he said. Handle your business. No drama. Just structure. At home, I invested in myself the way I'd always invested in them. Certification course. PT consult for my back. Therapy through the system, intake forms, sterile waiting room, therapist with calm eyes asking questions I didn't have neat answers for. I updated every beneficiary, every emergency contact, every permission. I built a new savings plan. Not an emergency fund for people who create emergencies. A future fund. For me. I hosted a small dinner for people who had proven they weren't liabilities. Alvarez. My neighbor who always held the door. A lieutenant who mentored me without taking. Curries so spicy my eyes watered. Laughing too loud. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel like I had to earn my seat. My family's fallout wasn't cinematic. It was real. My father stopped speaking first, punishment disguised as dignity. My mother sent texts that started with, "I'm sorry you feel," and ended with, "but you have to understand." Marlene went quiet. Then months later, she emailed me. Not posted. Not tagged. Emailed. Short. No excuses. I didn't know. I see it now. I'm sorry for tagging you. I'm trying to figure out what healthy looks like. If you ever want to talk, I'm here. I read it twice. Micro-imperfection. Part of me wanted to punish her with silence. But I remembered what it feels like to be trapped in a family script you didn't write. So I replied with boundaries. One-on-one, I wrote. Not about money. Not about dad's reputation. About reality. She agreed. We met once in a coffee shop that smelled like cinnamon and burnt espresso. She looked tired. Motherhood had introduced her to consequences in a way my parents never allowed. We didn't become close overnight. But we weren't enemies. My father told people downsizing was a choice. I didn't correct him. I didn't need to. Because the people who mattered had already seen the truth. And I finally learned the difference between peace and silence. Silence is what my family demanded so they could keep the system running. Peace is what I built when I stopped feeding it. Love without respect isn't love. It's obligation. If you're the reliable one, the family ATM, the invisible daughter, the one who can handle it, hear this. You're not selfish for setting boundaries. You're not cruel for needing consent. You're not difficult for refusing to be used. Documentation isn't petty. It's protection. Procedural consequences aren't revenge. They're reality catching up. If this hit something familiar, tell me in the comments. What was the moment you realized your family didn't want you? They wanted access? And if you want more high retention stories like this, controlled, grounded, and honest, subscribe to Revenge Cafe and stay with us.